and I give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me start by also thanking our today's briefers for their valuable inputs. We share most of the main observations and proposals enumerated in the latest special report prepared by the AU and the UN. The security dynamics in Darfur have remained mostly unchanged. Isolated incidents, as well as sporadic but low-scale clashes in Jebel Mara between the Sudanese armed forces and the Sudan Liberation Army of Abdul Wahid Nur, who remains the main spoiler of the peace process, do not change the picture. Developments in those areas already vacated by the Blue Helmets are also not extremely worrying. We remain convinced that the agreed phased reduction and withdrawal of UNAMID should be implemented in line with the relevant Security Council decisions. We believe that the dialogue between the UN and the Sudanese authorities will contribute to the achievement of necessary context and parameters for the follow-on presence. Darfur today faces mainly peace-building challenges rather than peacekeeping ones. It is the high time to focus on the restoration and economic development of Darfur. We once again insist on lifting all unilateral sanctions imposed on Khartoum. This would be extremely useful for the efforts of the Sudanese authorities to revitalize the country's economy. This step would be even more important and timely in the midst of a raging pandemic. We would like to emphasize that the opinion of Sudan as the host country should in any case be decisive both for drawdown and exit of UNAMID and deploying a possible special political mission. Russia believes that any future SPM should support Khartoum precisely where the Sudanese themselves need and expect this. From this perspective, it seems obvious that future UN presence should be based on Chapter 6 of the UN Charter. Let's leave the task of protection of civilians to the Sudanese authorities, who repeatedly confirmed their readiness to assume those responsibilities. In this regard, the role of the international community would be to help Khartoum to build up the necessary national capabilities. It is also very important not to bypass the African Union in our efforts. The regionals, who made a significant contribution to the stabilization of Darfur, should play an important role during the peace-building phase as well. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his statement.